Welcome everyone to the Better Late Than Never first annual Rose Experience E3 predictions. Now, since everyone and their mother does these in the industry, I've decided to take a stab at my own. Chances are they all will be wrong, but hey, we all have to make them happen. Now, bear with me, I'm going to go through based on what time each conference is presented. So there's no favoritism, absolutely no bias here on the Rose Experience. And we're going to start with Microsoft. Now, I like to do a little game at the beginning of each of these, and I start with who is going to present each conference. Now, this is a very important and understated fact of each E3 conference because I like to rate them on the scale of between 1 to 10, whose face is more punchable. So we will always start off with each breakdown with that, and I will be consulting here and there with the Rose Experience Magic Ball. And with that, let's begin with the wonderful world of Microsoft. The vaunted Microsoft with their Xbox One, they've actually gone up, I should say, in the ratings in least punchable face for a presenter. Out the window is Don Matrick, in with the good of Phil Spencer. Now, I think Phil Spencer is probably the best thing to happen to Microsoft and their Xbox brand for quite a while. And it seems I'm not the only one who thinks so. Lots of developers and industry people have come out and said that Don Matrick is the best thing to happen to Xbox in quite a while. So this is a good thing. If they can keep him on the stage for as long as possible, they will be on the right track for success along the punchable scale. Now, what could hinder this entire process is if they bring up the most punchable man in gaming up, and that being Yusuf Mehdi. Yusuf Mehdi is, in my mind, the worst PR person in the world, and every time he talks, I want to headbutt a baby. Not really, but kind of. Keep Yusuf off, keep Phil on, and Microsoft will be well on their way. Now let's get into the important part of what the conference is. And by their own rhetoric, that's games. Everything's going to be about games, which is a huge 180. I guess you can't say 360. Ignore the pun there. But it's a 180 from where they started. And that seems to be in Microsoft's entire goal here. It's to forget about the past of where the Xbox One started and be it more about where they're going. A rebirth, so to speak. With the announcement that Kinect is no longer to be bundled with every Xbox One. The price is going to be down, and ditching the whole talk about TV and the focus of your entertainment system. Now they just want to make it all about the games. So that's going to be a huge focus at this conference. So let's talk about a few of them. Okay, well, let's give this thing a whirl. Yes, it's coming to me now. Okay, with the games, the most recent announcement would be they're going to talk a lot about the new Forza. It's a little soon in my eyes, but hey, Forza is never a bad thing. I don't know if it's going to bring more people on board to the brand, but it keeps the people happy, and it's another exclusive under Microsoft's envelope. Unfortunately, the recent announcement that Quantum Break is not going to be there hinders what the content could possibly be in my eyes. I was really looking forward to seeing more of Quantum Break and what the studio behind the Alan Wake games could accomplish. What else? Oh yes, the vaunted Crystal Ball told me about, I believe, Halo 2 Collector's Edition or the HD remake, but I'm worried. The reason I'm worried, and if I'm wrong about this, I'll eat my shoe on this, on the next or one of these Rose Experiences to say, but I don't know how much Halo 2 HD will matter now. And now I know how big Halo 2 was. It's paved the way for the modern shooter in almost every single way, competitively and single player. But people, with Halo 5 being shown, and I'll get to that game in a minute, that's the new Halo game. Why do you want to go back, especially that far back, which is it's almost a 10-year-old game. 10 years to go back and we get an HD remake and the game won't look as good anyway as the new one that's supposed to come out or what Halo 4 looked like previously. So I don't know how big Halo 2 will be. Obviously the fans will eat it up, but beyond that, beyond what effect it will have, I don't know. So let's move to Halo 5. I don't know if it is going to have a big presence. I think it'll be shown. Hopefully they show gameplay. We know it's going to be pushed to 2015. Aside from that, I don't know what we're going to see from Halo 5. Rumors of Titanfall showing up. I'm sure they're going to prop up how successful Titanfall was. I mean, have you seen Titanfall? But beyond that, I don't know. Titanfall was very successful. How successful, we don't know. Xbox still failed to be the top-selling console in the month that Titanfall came out. So who knows? Will we see Titanfall 2 announced this soon? Who knows? Titanfall is a big game. Will they be able to keep the second one exclusive if it is announced? I don't know. With Kinect being put on the back burner now in terms of the bundles, they've obviously made a mistake with it and they want to drop the price. Will they completely omit it from the press conference at all? Or will it still be there, along with some games that maybe prove that Kinect is worthy of being a part of Microsoft's machine? I don't know. This is a big year for Microsoft, though. They have a ton to prove in terms of games, and that's what matters to me, and that's what we're talking about. I really don't want to hear anything about television or movies or their entertainment initiatives. No doubt they have a lot planned, but maybe save those for now, for later, and later shows, Gamescom possibly. Last year, they actually had the better show in terms of games. People don't remember this because Sony dropped the bombshell with the PS4 price and the used games thing and no DRM. But aside from those megaton announcements, which they dropped at the end of their press conference, Microsoft undoubtedly had the better show between the PlayStation 4 and Sony's and their own with the Xbox One. So if they can build on that, and if Sony drops the ball again, we'll be having the conversation about who won E3, whether that matters or not, again. And that's Microsoft. Next, we move to EA. EA is going to be showing a ton of Star Wars stuff. 6 new games out of the franchise, which is huge. We know one of them is Battlefront. Hopefully they show off gameplay with that. It's going to be a huge game. A lot of people are looking forward to that. I'm anxious to see what they bring out of the Star Wars brand, especially with how much hype the now canceled IP of Star Wars 1313 brought with it. We know that game's canceled. It looked awesome. Will they have something along the same lines, or will we see iOS games and portable games, another shooter? Who knows? Hopefully it's not a fighting game. Moving off Star Wars, I'm excited to see just what the next gen Dragon Age can do for the license. I was a huge fan of Dragon Age. It was like the Mass Effect for the fantasy realm. 3 is really their big chance to prove, is Dragon Age a quality AAA IP, or is it something just doomed to never fulfill all that promise? Who knows? What we've seen so far, though, it looks awesome. Oh, wait a second. I think we have something here. Yes? Oh, yes. The magic ball tells me we may see the next Mass Effect at EA's press conference tomorrow. Who knows? Will the Normandy show up? I don't know. And what exactly vein will the next Mass Effect take? They've said this is going to be the beginning of a new trilogy for Mass Effect, but in what sense? There's so much lore that's yet to be uncovered in the Mass Effect franchise that it really could go anyway. We do know that the next Mass Effect will be in the same vein as the previous Mass Effects before it. And we know this because I confirmed with the director through Twitter over a year ago. And I have the tweet to prove it. You'll see it as it pops up here. I suspect the next Mass Effect will take place at the beginning, the first contact war. The humans first make their first foray into space and contact with the Turians. And the story could go either way. Do you play as just a human, or can you play as a Turian as well? I don't know, but I'm really anxious to see what they can do. So look for the next Mass Effect to show up in some sort of way. Next, we move on to Ubisoft, who has a very unpunchable host in Aisha Tyler, coming through, I believe, for the 3rd year in a row. She's awesome. It doesn't matter that she's a female. She knows her games, and she does a good job at Ubisoft's presser every single year. So thumbs up to Aisha Tyler. Looking forward to it. Ubisoft as a company seems to relish in quote-unquote stealing E3 every year. I don't know exactly what that means, but they always have that and one more thing moment at the end. 2 years ago, it was Watch Dogs. Last year, it was The Division, and both were probably the 2 most talked about games in the respective shows. So will they do that again at the end? I don't know. Ubisoft has a lot on their plate, especially with the fact that both of those games I just mentioned were announced far too early for many gamers' likes and end up being delayed multiple years. I don't know, it leaves a bad taste in my mind, and I'm pretty sure I'm not alone. And The Division was just announced that it's going to be pushed back to 2015. So who knows? It had a great showing last year. Another thing Ubisoft has to worry about is leaving up to the pedigree of what they actually announce. Watch Dogs is nowhere near the performance level at release of what it was when it was revealed. And hopefully The Division doesn't suffer the same fate. Obviously, we're going to see the next Assassin's Creed, Unity, which is a next-gen only title, taking place in colonial France. Maybe not colonial. Don't kill me if I got that wrong, please. But Assassin's Creed is a franchise I've sort of fell out of love with. And it's funny, I played every single one of them, but I need to see the gameplay improved. I want to actually feel like an assassin. I need more from Assassin's Creed. I just do. We don't really know what the last gen Assassin's Creed will be for the PS3 and 360. But that's neither here nor there. I'm more concerned about the next gen at this point. What's the next UbiArt Frameworks game going to be? This year was Child of Light, which was huge. One of my favorite games of the year. And we did a Rose experience on that game earlier as well. Check that out if you haven't. So I'd like to see a new offering from them in that, their indie initiative, so to speak. I don't know if you can call it an indie when there's 100 people working on it, but whatever. And as to what the big game they could reveal at the end, I don't know. Let's just stay tuned. I have no prediction for that. Not at all. This thing didn't work. And now we come to Sony. The PlayStation 4 is a huge hit. We all know that. But they're in limbo. Why are they in limbo? It's because they're an unknown on my punchable face scale. Who knows, with Jack Trenton gone, who we all loved, who knows who's going to present? Adam Boyes? Andrew House? Both good in small doses, but a little bit boring on my scale. Shuhei Yoshida is awesome, but the language barrier, I don't know how that's going to go. Again, in small doses. I don't know who's going to carry the presser. I'd love Mark Cerny to come out and do it again for the entire thing. He's got a great voice, great presentation, huge win. Will he do it? I doubt it. So until we know more, I really can't give a rating on the punchable scale, sorry. A lot of the rhetoric coming into this presser for E3 is Sony needs games. They need more games. They're losing the exclusive race, blah, blah, blah. But what people seem to forget is that the PlayStation objectively has more games. As these beautiful graphs will show, they've had more games at launch window. They've released more games every month since, and I'm talking comparatively with Microsoft, which is their main competitor at this point. I mean, regardless if the stigma rings true or rings to you or not, it's objectively not true. Now, they have to combat this, don't get me wrong. And with many of their exclusives being announced for a delay, the Order 1886 being among them, Sony undoubtedly has to hit big with exclusives and more games. I don't think Sony and the PlayStation brand has ever lost the exclusive war to Microsoft. And I mean, they objectively release more exclusives than the competing brands. So I'm not worried on that front, and I don't think you should be either. Sony's going to talk a lot about indies again. And they've had a ton of success with indies lately. They're there to insulate the big budget releases, not take the place of. But they're great games. Don't let a $14 or $15 price budget stop you from purchasing something. And that goes for every one of these companies, no matter who they're from. Nowhere is it written that a game has to cost $60 to be great. $15 can do the same thing. Look for Sony to talk up the third-party advantage they have this generation. Microsoft had no problem doing it with 360 last generation, and this generation, the PS4, has the advantage. Whether it's slim or big, it depends on the game, but they do have the advantage, so we're looking for them to talk about that a bit. Destiny. Destiny is a huge game. Even though it's third-party, they've sort of married themselves to the PlayStation platform, like Call of Duty does with Microsoft. Look for them to show a bit more. I'm anxious to see what happens with Destiny. I don't know if it's going to have the effect that they plan on it having. Bungie, of course, being who I'm talking about. But hopefully PlayStation doesn't think that is going to substitute for an exclusive this holiday or this September. I don't see it happening like that. There's been a lot of HD remakes recently. The Last of Us HD remake is going to be a big release again. And undoubtedly a huge game for them last year and garnered tons of gaming Game of the Year awards. But how much effect will it really have? I don't know. I'm looking forward to it personally, but it only came out a year ago and around this time. Who's going to go out and buy an HD remake of The Last of Us right away? Who knows? But it certainly won't substitute for a big exclusive. People want to see new games on the PlayStation 4. They don't want to see just HD remakes. And it seems to be we're getting a lot of those. Oh, hi. Oh, you're there. Sorry. Yeah, I'm probably going to get rid of that. I'm just reacting to that, the recent news that The Last Guardian might be canceled. I don't think I can take it. Sony recently debunked it, but who knows? Will we see the long-awaited Last Guardian title this year at E3? I'm banking on saying yes, and I think I say this every year, so don't put any stock in that at all. If it's not announced this E3, I'm just going to go with it dead and buried forever, because this is the time, man. The Last Guardian's time is now, and even though Sony can deny it all they want, whether the game's canceled, but more and more reports seem to point that it is canceled. And if it doesn't show up, I'm going to have to go with those. So The Last Guardian, please show up. Let's take a moment to consult the magic globe here. See what they have to say. I got to move it around a bit. Hold on. God of War. Yes, God of War 4 may be showing up. Sony Santa Monica's huge studio, makes some of the most beautiful games out, and they make God of War, which is arguably the biggest exclusive for the PlayStation, aside from Uncharted, which we'll get to. Will we see more God of War? I think yes, and I might be there to close out the show, but hopefully it isn't in the same vein as what God of War 3 was. I want to see them move away from Greek mythology and go to Norse mythology. Go take on the entire pantheon of gods. How awesome would it be to see Kratos beating the crap out of Thor and Odin? I say that's awesome. Make it happen. Just don't be more of the same. I love God of War, and I want another game. Give it to us. Then that brings us to Uncharted 4. Tons of turnover with Uncharted lately. The Druckmann has taken over, but he's pushing everybody out. He's the Gestapo. But what people seem to forget is that Uncharted Druckmann, or Druckmann Uncharted, is best Uncharted. He made Uncharted 2, and he made Last of Us. I'm kind of excited that this is happening. I'm not excited for the delay it's likely going to bring, but I'm excited for the new direction of the game. But will we see gameplay? That's important. I don't want to see just another CG trailer. I want to see gameplay. Uncharted 4 to show up, for sure. That about does it for the Sony conference. Oh yeah, one more thing. I saw it popped up a leak for a rumored new PS All-Stars game. The IP has a ton of promise. You take arguably one of the most popular fighting games out, Smash Brothers, and you just copy the formula with Sony stable characters, which are super strong. They have to make the roster more about who is there than who isn't there. Redo the UI, make it more appealing, and just get rid of the whole super to finish somebody. Just make it more basic fighting. And you'll have a successful fighting game on your hand. PS All-Stars does a ton of promise. I, for one, hope it shows up. And that's it for Sony. Lastly, we move to Nintendo. Oh, Nintendo. Why do you have to be so different? Why? On the scale of punchable faces, I don't know either. This is the big unknown. Iwata's staying home. He's sick. So he's not making it. Even though they're not even having a press conference, they're doing their digital fan event or whatever the hell that means. Will Reggie just man the whole ship again? Reggie has a very punchable face, but he's a big guy, so I don't know. I'm a little scared to say that. I'm sure they'll have some other people that I don't really know about showing up, but we'll see. I have to give Nintendo a 6 on the punchable scale off the bat. We know we're going to get more Mario Kart. They're going to show more. Maybe they have some downloadable content. That'd be great because Mario Kart was sort of slim on the options and content. Don't kill me. Obviously, we'll get more Smash Brothers. I don't know what's going on with that game. I know it's coming out for 3DS first. Don't get why. I mean, that's a game you want to play on the Wii U. That will sell Wii U's, and they're bringing it to the 3DS first. Again, puzzling with me. Nintendo's also really, really good at keeping secrets. They always have been. So I'm going to have to consult my Magic Globe once more. Let's see. What do they have? Yes. The Magic Globe is a little cloudy, but it says maybe the relaunch of a Metroid. But it doesn't know whether it's going to be on the Wii U or the 3DS. I think in order to realize what Metroid is supposed to be, you need more powerful tech. 3DS just can't cut it. Will we see finally release dates for the new Monolith Soft RPG X and Bayonetta 2 from Platinum Games? Two huge games that they keep showing, but they don't give us what we want. We want release dates. Release dates will sell consoles. Hell, they might even sell one to me. I don't know. Will Nintendo finally cut the price on the Wii U? Will they cut the gamepad? It needs a price cut, but I don't know if they're willing to get rid of the gamepad in order to do it. It's proven that it's not entirely integral to the Wii U experience. So will they give us something that makes it integral, or will they just get rid of it altogether and cut the price? Who knows? And will we see Zelda U? Hopefully, yes. Zelda is huge. What I want to see is something just entirely new from Nintendo and their entire stable of IPs. I don't know, make Link talk. Make him wear black and be the villain. Maybe dabble into the modern day of, and cross it over with the fantasy world of Hyrule. Go a completely different direction with it. You supposedly have the most innovative and creative minds in the business. Well, show us. Now the ball's in your court, Nintendo. Just make it happen. Do something different, please. And that's it with the big pressers. But that's not all. The Magic Globe tells me that we're going to see more from Metal Gear Solid 5, The Phantom Pain. Of course, it didn't tell me. Kojima's been telling us all week long in the build-up to E3 on Twitter about that he has this huge new trailer to show, and it's going to hurt people. What that means, I don't know. Hopefully he pushes the envelope even more. More from Konami? Will we see a Zone of the Enders 3? Likely not. I'm just crossing my fingers. It's a personal hope. New Mortal Kombat was just announced from NetherRealm. I personally thought it was going to be Injustice 2, but it's not. That's what I would have liked. I hate block buttons. But Mortal Kombat looks great. I'm sure they'll show that off extensively at E3. Batman Arkham Knight is canceled again to 2015, but I'm sure they'll have a big showing at E3 this year. Excuse me, I don't know where they're going to show up, but I need them to show me. I'm a little worried about the Batmobile. And I mean, no doubt it looks great, but I've never been playing those games, Arkham Asylum and Arkham City, and thought to myself, God, it'd be awesome to use the Batmobile. Because it's so much fun just traversing the city, flying around with the grappling hook. Is it going to be better with the Batmobile? I don't know. The game looks gorgeous, and they haven't let me down yet. So I guess it's just up to Rocksteady from here on out. Lastly, we're going to have to go with Square. Please be excited. But excited about what? The rumor is that Final Fantasy 15 isn't going to be there. Now that is crazy to me. I mean, after repackaging Final Fantasy Versus 13, a game just like The Last Guardian, 7-8 years in production, they finally rehashed it, repackaged it, brought it out as Final Fantasy 15 last year. And now it's not going to show up a year later. I mean, I'm not one to play into the Final Fantasy is dead rhetoric and blah, 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 because it's ridiculous. It's a staple brand and they still sell tons of games. And just like everything, you're one game away from achieving great success again. So that's crazy talk to me. But Final Fantasy 15, if it doesn't show up, that could be crippling to the brand. It'll let a lot of people down. And I just don't know what's going on if they don't have any more to show from that. And then there's odds and ends. More from Evolve, which looks good. I don't know. It's an online 4-player shooter where one guy's a monster, and then he fights 4 other players. I'm anxious to see more of that. And yeah, that's about it. And that, my friends, about does it for the Rose Experience first annual E3 predictions. The best dressed man in gaming had to prove it, and hopefully I've done that to you. And what do you think? Are you looking forward to E3 this year? I know I am. It's a huge year for games, and we're going to finally see what these next-gen consoles have in store for us for the next year. It's going to be very exciting. Hopefully more into 2014 rather than everything being pushed more into 2015, like a lot of stuff already has. Who's going to win E3? I don't know. I don't even know what that means. I just want great games from everybody. So have a good E3, everybody. Cheers.